Okay, hello everyone. Today is 13th of January and unfortunately I will be in Seance very shortly in Melbourne with Muegge. So we decided to record instead of being live today. And I have some questions for Kai which I want to investigate in regards to what part does telekinesis play in physical mediumship. I would bring forward a view Kai has, a view a communicator has, and maybe some other people. Let's see. Okay, Kai, what is telekinesis?
Yeah, hi Inge, thank you very much for having me. And telekinesis, respectively psychokinesis. Psychokinesis is the more actual term, is a word coming direct out of the young science parapsychology. In the first place, it was called telekinesis, actually. Like, interestingly, ectoplasm was in its first stage of the development of this term was called teleplasm. So we had a teleplasm and telekinesis, and that turned into ectoplasm and psychokinesis. So meanwhile, telekinesis clearly stated moving objects in a distance. The word psychokinesis changed this in so far that psychokinesis means more or less mind over matter. So control matter by thought, control matter by will. So, and when we dive into the environment of spiritualism, when we dive into the environment of mediumship, you know that within the Western Hemisphere, the protagonists that were working with spirits never allowed, out of societal reasons, to get this direct contact to the spirits. There always was this buffer in between, and the buffer is called trance. So the Western Hemisphere people, not like the African shamans, the medicine men, who allow the spirits to directly enter their daily environment, so to speak, in the Western Hemisphere, the protagonists were reluctant, unsure, and so the trance work more or less was developed, and the trance were shielding, so to speak, or were buffering the processes. Let's keep it that way. So, because whose will is it? When we refer to this term psychokinesis, when we talk about will over matter or mind over matter, whose will, whose mind is it when a medium claims that it is controlled by a spirit team, that what is going on is controlled by a spirit team? Can we then talk about that this is a psychokinetical act done by the spirit team, so to speak? Is that righteous? Usually the term psychokinesis is not necessarily used in the spiritualistic environment. It is more used clearly in the parapsychological environment. In the spiritualistic environment, other theories have come up, and very basically until today as a methodological standard, besides Frank in his book Phenomena of Materialization, it was Crawford who meticulously researched into the conditions and the environment in which these seemingly, parapsychologically spoken, psychokinetical incidents were occurring, how they were occurring, under which circumstances, in how far ectoplasm was involved. And what I am talking about, I am talking, of course, about the rod and cantilever theory. And the rod and cantilever theory is, I the last time read in the 1990s, I believe, in a scientific paper, in a parapsychological scientific paper about the rod and cantilever theory. So it is coming from the 1920s, 1930s. So in the rod and cantilever theory, it is theorized that from the mediumistic organism in different aggregate states, ectoplasmic forms do help to make tables levitate, to move objects through the room, to have the trumpet flying so wildly through the room. So this is what we basically can allege, how we basically can explain where we position the one term and the other term in these both different environments, parapsychology and mediumism.
So, okay, how much do you believe then it is the mind has power in physical mediumship, or where does telekinesis fit into physical mediumship? Is it always spirit, and how would we know the difference even?
Absolutely. That is, you know, we need to understand that parapsychology is, even though it is using this term, psychokinesis, in the last 150 years, parapsychology was not enabled to actually clear up what psychokinesis is. It is really a placeholder for things that are described for thousands of years.
We don't understand.
And we basically don't understand. So within mediumship, the rod and cantilever theory, ectoplasm, is more or less the same, all these terms. So we need to understand that we are swimming here in between undescribed and not fully understood terminology. And usually we should, previously to every discussion, you usually should clear up with your partners, discussion partners,
How they understand it.
how to use this term or the other, because there is no general or no basic description for it.
Yes, but you see, like I have seen you the other day here at the kitchen table, as I wrote on the Malaysia Development Center, how you just move the cutlery, how the wooden sticks stood up by themselves and all this. So, you know, in the seance I had seen that the medium's hands were just moving, and the trumpet in the distance, like 1.5 meters away, was just following that. And I was thinking, well, what is that? Is it a spirit rod which moves the trumpet? So it's like an extension of the medium's arm? Is it a rod, or then spirit would do it? Or is it a medium's subconscious mind can do that? Because one night, say, the trumpet was really, I could follow it like really gentle. Another night it was like, woohoo! And I was thinking, oh my God, look at that. Have they then lost control? Or was it just to show the difference so I can learn something? I just really want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. We of course enter a very complex environment here. First of all, I would like to remark some basics.
Okay.
In a modern way of looking at things, we need to say farewell to the idea that spirit helpers are necessarily deceased personalities.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand that in a multidimensional environment in which we human beings are consciously embedded, intentions of us, a motivation, a spontaneous feeling, a dream, that this can come back to us as a spirit helper. So an intention of mine can become what we usually would describe as a spirit entity. Yes?
That makes some things make sense.
Yes. So, on the other hand, when you are asking, Is it the medium? Is it a spirit? It is very much dependent on which plane we are looking at the whole systemically, because I believe that when we step a big step backwards, in the end, both become the same. And of course, we believe and strongly feel that we work with external forces, but this is from this viewpoint, here in this reality. When I step backwards and look at the greater scheme of things, then we melt in what we are describing as a oneness.
A field, the consciousness field.
Exactly. In this consciousness field, we melt with these spirit helpers, and these spirit helpers become ourselves or are ourselves. And in the seance room environment, this circle does somehow close and can be facilitated to have these strange ongoings.
So when I hear at times, okay, we cannot get control of the medium's mind or of the medium's energy. So let us work with it for a little while, but otherwise we need to come back another day. So is it because other mediums have said to me, when I have a really strong trouble with a partner or anything, something really strong troubling me, it seems that I struggle to let go, but then I think I did really well. And I will then say, yeah, but they said they had trouble with that. Is it because that medium's mind is so strong that they have to overcome that to work? Or why can't they just blend and say, oh yeah, you get out of the way?
Yeah, I mean, we need to understand that spirituality is nothing that has come up 150 years ago with modern spiritualism. We must understand that working with the spirits is the main factor of the metaphysical development of the human mind. That means human beings are conversing and working with spirits for thousands of years, literally. And this connection to the spirit world, because it is such an important part of the human being itself, its metaphysical understanding of itself and of the environment, something that distinguishes us very much, as far as we believe, from other animals on this planet. So this is something that lives in all of us very strongly and very importantly, but we have to tune into it and we have to activate it. And when we are very much concerned, or maybe even existentially concerned, because we have trouble in our relationship and so forth, then it may be very difficult to tune into this energy and to let the spirit overtake our body, or let our body become the portal it
needs to be the open portal and the non-interfering portal.
Yeah.
Because I heard the other week, you know, in your seances, often when the spirits come, they knock, yeah? And the communicator said to me, you need to understand that you need to understand the whole, what you're talking about now, the blending. When is it spirit? When is it your spirit? You know, or somebody's spirit. And they said, if you knock, and all the sitters go so excited, yes, do it again, do it again. He said, you take the control of that energy off us and you create a knock. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean,
like us, the group.
Yes, yeah. we can clearly distinguish, and this is a very strong part of the message we are trying to share with the people, is that within that fascinating and amazing field of physical mediumship, that there is not necessarily a medium needed that is working for 20, 30 years or whatnot. that there is an approach which we describe as a group mediumship approach. That means erect a group with 3 or 4 or 5 very committed, like we have in the Felix Circle, and so many other groups have. I mean, from the beginning on, when we were starting to have established contact with groups and interested people all around the world, this was our first message: build your own group. And all around the world, we have helped and motivated people and groups to become built and develop. And many of them have become very, very successful. And you know, the power of transformation for the own self, when you come out of an environment that maybe was very much controlled by your everyday life, by your job, by your responsibilities, and when then suddenly once a week there is that magical hour in which you come together with your friends, this hour or these 2 hours once a week is a power source that is so amazing, and we really we share it wherever we can. We share it in our workshops. We share it when people address us via email or via Skype. We are discussing how can you avoid the traps in which you how you do avoid the traps that may occur when you build such a new group, and so forth, because we want your lives also to be illuminated by this fascinating power physical mediumship is offering to us human beings.
You know, I got just an impression.
So, and back to your question, we cannot really distinguish. In the seance, we know that the energies that are responsible for the physical ongoings in the room, that they are not at all only from the organism of the medium. The energies are coming usually from all the participants. It is a group effort. It is a group approach in the seance room, and that was always so. If it is in the indigenous Northern American Indian ceremonies, there's a huge group which is erecting the power. There is a catalyst, a catalysator, the medicine man. Yeah. And in our sessions, there's a catalysator as well. There is a medium. But group mediumship does work without the catalysator.
Is it? Maybe that makes sense now. I'm really, really pushed for education, yeah? Educate cities, educate groups, blah, blah. So, what I just got the impression of, you know, we always say in the olden days, yeah? But I think group, where you say group, is it maybe that in the olden days, you know, like say Jack Pepper, you see him in a chair, you see people around, relatives, whatever it was, and they all went for the same. They all worked in harmony. They all wanted for him to show them something, or the spirit people show them something. Maybe that's what's missing now. You know, that when it is group mentality or group strength or whatever, maybe that's what we're missing now. That the groups who sit together not need to learn to work for the one.
Okay. Yes, I mean, we are living in a society which is a fast food society, and which is not anymore used to, you know, building a seance room group is a long-term project. And for some characters, here the difficulties begin. But you shall choose the right characters for this group. And somebody who is not capable to become part in a long-term project and have the commitment to fulfill what is needed in such a, it's not the right person. Moreover, I would like to say that in regards to the comparison, specifically in regards to physical mediumship, what was possible in the past and what is possible today, that there are huge exaggerations going on when we look at descriptions, what is allegedly or what was allegedly be able to achieve, or what allegedly was achieved in the past, and what is today being achieved. The differences are not at all as huge as it is described by some. Here we needed actually to go into the details, because it is claimed that in the earlier days, within physical mediumship, everything was happening in a strong good light. It is a lie. It is even a lie, or it is misinformation. When you look in, everybody can look into the parapsychological history, and you will find that there were 5 mediums they called daylight mediums. And these were the very first mediums, or very exceptional, strong mediums. All the rest were called darkness mediums. So only, and even with these darkness mediums, there were always amounts of light involved, degrees of red light, and so forth. But it's by far not the case that in earlier days everything was happening in bright light. You can develop things into light, and we in the Felix Circle over these many years have developed the most exciting things into light. But the darkness stays a highly important factor for the relationship between us and the spirits, for the conditions under which spirits can appear in our environment. This connection is stone old. For example, it has to do with the fact that we humans are afraid of the dark. Why are we humans afraid of the dark? Why aren't we afraid of the light? We are afraid of the dark because for thousands of years in the darkness, the things happen to us. We can, exactly, the poltergeists and the bangs at night in the walls and ceilings and so forth. So this is the first big hint how very much these unexplained phenomena are connected with darkness and not with light. And I don't want to go deeper into this now. I only want to say, when you want to have experimentally a contact to the supernatural, you have to deliver an environment that is more or less natural for these supernatural powers. Mm-hmm. That's why darkness plays a role when you are starting to erect seance room phenomena.
Okay, so we need to go back. So fascinating. So, in a way, it is that we really need to look at physical mediumship and how much kinetic energy, not kinetic energy, but telekinesis is used, and how we can learn about that, and how we can build strong roots, and how we can,
yeah, I mean,
look at all this.
The truth lies somewhere in between. Between all these placeholders, the truth lies. I mean, mm-hmm. what Crawford has very meticulously investigated with the Gulliver Circle mm-hmm. is an absolutely fascinating read, and it stands in its own right. But it is a little bit like with the Skull Group. So can we transfer what Crawford has experienced with the Gulliver Circle? Can we transfer this as a basic fact onto every other circle? Very probably not. And so do we have many single truths? Do we have the truth of the Gulliver Circle, and do we have the truth for the Felix Circle? Very probably yes.
Because everything is different. Mediums are different.
Exactly. Very, very individual and varied conditions come together and create something that is vastly reaching beyond the ordinary. And that makes it so difficult for science to step into this very varied environment with so many factors between sitters, mediums, conditions and so forth, and to make here make a sense out of it.
Yes, well, because but you know, I heard, and now I believe you will say that's true, that if we stand in a group and focus really hard and have the intention to get in the board, we can get it.
Basically, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And we need to do this again.
Ja.
Because you are so knowledgeable.
Ja.
I love it.
Ja, und das nächste Mal müssen wir darüber reden. Next time we need to talk about how thought and matter is aligned. And why and why it is because of that we can create a positive thought.
Please, yes. Thank you so much.